let's try this again. As I just saw Monkey vs. Lizard, aka Godzilla vs. King Kong. I'm really surprised actually that it's the title is Godzilla vs. King Kong, when this is clearly a King Kong movie and Godzilla's just in it. In terms of the monster verse of the legendary movies so far with the new Godzilla and Kong Skull Island. I would still say King of the Monsters is the best one so far. This is better than I didn't see Kong Skull Island, so I don't give a shit. It's better than the original, the first Legendary Pictures Godzilla movie. Because it's really, what are these movies about? They're about taking your giant monster action figures and smashing them together and going giant monster fight, and that's the only purpose these. Oh no, cat. That's the purpose these movies serve. Is we got some giant monsters. Let them fight. That's the defining fucking spirit of these movies is Ken Watanabe going, let them fight. That's the entire function of these movies. So whenever you see some dumb shit retard doing a stupid ass fucking Angry Joe review like a moron about these movies, they're always like, movie wasn't movie enough for movie, and it's like, you're dumb. This isn't a real movie. This is a wrestling match. It needs to be treated with the same standards you would have for like a WWE storyline. Like, the story is, oh, this guy's the face, this guy's the heel, they're gonna fight. That's it. That's the only fucking reason these movies exist, is to get giant monster fight. And in terms of giant monster fights, like the original Godzilla, the first Godzilla of the Legendary Pictures movies was Godzilla vs. Cloverfield, right? To reassert dominance. T-pose to assert dominance. Lizard dominance. And that movie, like, it was good at the time, and I still say it's good on its own. And I still say it's good, like, on its own merits, because that movie cock teases the fucking monster fight for the entire runtime. Like, 3 times it gives you blue balls about the giant monster fight, and that's so done on purpose to, like, build tension and like, anticipation for the giant monster fight at the end. Like, it's the same. It's like you gotta tease the nuts a little bit. You gotta diddle their balls. Tickle their balls a little bit. Tickle more. So that by the end, when the big fight happens, the audience is going, yo! But in retrospect, now we've had 2 other movies that have had way more giant monster fights, and you look back and you're like, not enough monster fights. 10 out of 10 best movie of the year. So this, like, King of the Monsters was just fucking monster fights all over the fucking place. Godzilla and King Ghidorah fight like 7 times in that fucking movie. Rodan has a cool ass. That movie was nuts. I don't know how they fit so many fucking Godzilla monsters in the one fucking movie. Rodan has a cool action scene. Mothra and Rodan have a fucking sidekick fight. Fucking Burning Godzilla was in it. King of the Monsters was so fucking good with bringing the big giant CGI fucking monster toys and bashing them together, which is the purpose of these fucking movies. So that one was still good. This one brought the monster fight in, but it was really just kind of the same fight 3 times. It's the title of the movie. You come to the movie called Godzilla vs. King Kong, you get what you expect. You get Godzilla and King Kong fighting. But, like, it's just kind of the same fight 3 times. And no one else really is in this movie. I was waiting the entire movie for Mothra to show up again. Mothra ain't in this movie. Should have been in this movie. I took notes. While I was watching the movie, like a professional. I like this movie. Throughout the entire thing, does a really good job of, like, telling a story without dialogue. I mean, there is still dialogue because you got to play to the cheap seats, but you could take out all of the dialogue in this movie and it would still tell a complete story visually. It has that Mad Max like philosophy of just storyboard it out and tell the story through the visuals alone. There is dialogue because the characters have to explain to the dumb shits in the audience what's going on. But aside from that, it does a really good job of telling a story without words. And like right at the beginning, it establishes like King Kong's like pet psychic human who he has a connection with in order to establish that he's the face, he's the good guy of the movie because he has a relationship with a cute little human girl. It uses really good sound design to establish right away that she's deaf. And you're watching and you're like, oh, she's deaf because of the sound design alone. And then you gotta explain it to the fucking dumb shits in the audience. Another character comes out and does sign language at her. But right from the first scene she's introduced, they do a good job with how it's filmed to establish that she's deaf and what her relationship with Kong is and all that. I like that the bad, like the evil Elon Musk, human, obviously evil corporation of the movie is called Apex. Because that's good. That's a good subtle indication that like they're trying to assert themselves as the apex predators of the planet. Because the entire thing in King of the Monsters was Godzilla's the alpha. You gotta have the alpha monster. And so they're trying to be like, no, humans are the alpha. We're above the alpha. We're the apex. And like again, they spell that out later because you got to explain to the dumb shits. But I like how that's kind of a subtle indication right off the bat that like, oh, they're named Apex. And I did right at the beginning with the Godzilla attacking the Apex facility. I like that this Godzilla really hasn't gotten to terrorize Tokyo yet. We really haven't had Godzilla just busting ass. I don't like your tall buildings. Fuck your tall buildings. I'm gonna shoot tanks with my laser and swat planes out of the air with my tail. This Godzilla has been a hero like right from the beginning, so he hasn't really gotten to like just wreck shit in these movies so far. So it's actually kind of nice getting to see Godzilla just fuck up everyone's shit. Just fuck up humanity. Just fuck your buildings. Get the fuck out of my face, says Godzilla. That being said, I do think it's funny that they established that only 8 people died in the Godzilla attack. Because they're trying to build Godzilla as the heel for this movie. We gotta put Godzilla over for the audience as the heel. We gotta build some heat for Godzilla as the heel. But we don't want the audience to really hate Godzilla. We don't want to. We still want the audience to be sympathetic for Godzilla for when, you know, the obvious third-party threat shows up and they gotta team up to fight it together, because that's obviously what's gonna happen. But we want to build Godzilla as the heel, but we don't want him to be irredeemable, so only 8 people die. No, double digits, that's too much. Can't have double digits. Can't have Godzilla's death count be in the double digits. It's only 8. 8 people, that's enough to build him as a heel, but it's still, like, not a horrible, like, unforgivable amount of people died. There's the Elon Musk villain of the movie, which is Walter Simons, which is definitely a name of a villain I've seen in something else recently. Like, was that the name of the villain in Miles Morales' Spider-Man? I don't know, like, Walter Simons is such a distinct villain name. That's like, I've definitely heard that before in something. This movie also had, like, way too many human characters. Like, because it kind of makes sense, because this movie was kind of like a Godzilla movie and a King Kong movie kind of, like, converging together and happening at the same time. So you had one half of the cast that are in a King Kong movie and one half of the cast that are in a Godzilla movie running parallel to each other. So there's kind of a lot of human characters in this movie, and that does kind of result in some people getting left by the wayside. Like, Walter Simons has, like, a co-villain of the movie, and I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be Ken Watanabe's son. Like, I don't mean Ken Watanabe the actor, I mean Ken Watanabe's character. Because I'm pretty sure I heard them introduce him as Serizawa. So I'm pretty sure that was supposed to be Ken Watanabe's son. and that wasn't really called attention to, and that's a good thing, but also it means, like, you can kind of miss that fact that Ken Watanabe's son is in this movie. Not Ken Watanabe the actor, I mean, like, the character that Ken Watanabe played. It's very utilitarian storytelling, and in some ways that's good, because it means, okay, we got the two giant monsters and we bring them together and we have them fight. Go fight. And that's what we want. It does mean some other things get left by the wayside. Like, I wish there was a little bit more world building in this movie. You don't really have so much of, like, the Pacific Rim. What is life like for the humans living in a kaiju-controlled world? You don't really have so much of that. There's really just one establishing shot of a bunch of people in Hong Kong, like, fleeing to a Titan shelter or a kaiju shelter. And that's really kind of it. You don't really get so much of insight into all of the stuff we saw in the credits of King of the Monsters, where, like, this is what the world is like now that Godzilla's in charge of the planet again, and all of this cool stuff that's happening. We don't really get hints of that in this, because of how utilitarian the storytelling is and how focused it is on just getting these two monsters together so they can fight. And, like, maybe the next Godzilla movie will have that, and this movie was really just dedicated to getting King Kong and Godzilla together to fight. But I wish there had been a little bit more world building of showing, like, what a post-King of the Monsters world is like. Because Washington, D.C. is underwater, but Boston got blown up. Like, the landscape of humanity has been completely redrawn, and I want more hints of what it's like living in this world now that, like, the Titans, the kaiju, have kind of reclaimed their spot of dominance over humanity. I just have Journey to the Center of the Earth in all caps over and over and over again throughout these notes, because the plan is, oh, we gotta get to the center of we gotta get to the hollow Earth. So, like, journey to the center of the Earth, journey to the center of the Earth, for the entire fucking movie. Every single time they talk about going to the hollow Earth. I'm like, yeah! You know, he's Saul of the moment. Saul of the moment. Alright, I like how they established that, right at the beginning of the movie, they established that King Kong can make tools, because he makes, like, a spear out of a tree. And he does that a couple times. So they establish that King Kong has a natural affinity for using tools, and that sets up later the fact that he gets, like, a weapon to use in the fight. So I was like, that was really cool that they established that right away. And we have Jane Goodall, but for King Kong. We have the giant, we have MONKEE scientist lady. We have the Jane Goodall, but for King Kong. I hope she meets the Mothra twins in a sequel. I hope the Jane Goodall King Kong scientist lady meets the Mothra twins later on. And yeah, like, I like how Godzilla has been the referee, keeping the peace between Titans and humanity for, like, 5 years since King of the Monsters came out. But everyone has to immediately assume Godzilla's a bad guy, because we gotta get him over as the heel for the audience, right? You gotta build up King Kong as the face, gotta build up Godzilla as the heel, so everyone's like, oh, Godzilla attacked an obviously evil corporation named Apex. Why would he do that? No one assume that maybe they're doing some evil shit. Gotta get Godzilla over as the heel for the audience. Gotta put them over. I really like the sound design. They use their licensed music very well in this movie, because there was a lot of, like, 60s music for King Kong, which called back to the Skull Island movie. There was, like, some 80s synth for the Stranger Things girl in this movie. They use their licensed music very well. I like the scene, the fight scene on the ships. I just went like, oh my god, someone on this movie really liked Neon Genesis Evangelion, specifically episode 10. Because that entire fight scene was just episode 10 of Neon Genesis Evangelion, where they're fighting on top of the ships. And I was like, yo. We have co-villain number 2. Well, like, because there's the villains for the Godzilla movie, and then there's the villains for the Kong movie, and then we have evil Angelina Jolie for the Journey to the Center of the Earth antagonist. She says something interesting, which is like, this power source will light up Vegas for a week. And I'm like, didn't Vegas get fucking, like, destroyed? I thought Las Vegas got destroyed in the original Godzilla. I think that's kind of offensive. Or maybe they're implying that they rebuilt. There's also a lot of, like, meta references, because they say, like, Godzilla, like, the lizard Godzilla and King Kong, like, their ancestors fought in a great war, their nemesises. I'm like, that's clearly referencing the old movie. That's clearly referencing the Godzilla versus King Kong movie of the original. So they're taking that, like, real-world lore and making it a part of the MonsterVerse lore. I really like, again, the sound design for how they establish all the Deaf Girl scenes are really good. I like how it establishes their connection as believable, because she can hear, quote-unquote, the bass of Kong. Like, she's deaf, she can't hear anything, but Kong's, like, heartbeat and the bass of his, like, actions, like resonates with her, so that establishes why they have that connection. I like how the Jane Goodall scientist is like, oh my god, he knows sign language? Like, yeah. Gorillas do that all the time. That is, like, so not surprising. Oh, Stranger Things girl is awesome in this movie. She is, like, the leader of the Godzilla half of the cast. I just call her and her team Team Stranger Things. And yeah, like, the utilitarianness of this movie is you have the comedy relief, like, conspiracy theorist character teaming up with Stranger Things girl, and he's like, I have a really sympathetic backstory. Like, I had someone I cared about, and now she's gone, but I have this, and it establishes, like, a thing about my character. Alright, out of the way, let's go. Next part of the movie, just boom, just get that out there, establish the character. Okay, we're moving on. Gotta get that monkey and lizard fighting. Let's go. Oh, I just wrote, that's a lot of fish. Because there's a scene where King Kong's on the boat, and he takes a big handful of fish and just eats it. And I'm like, oh no, that's a lot of fish. They knew what they were doing. That was on purpose. You can't tell me. I like how whenever there's a little psychic human pet to the giant monster, authority figure always views psychic human friend girl as either unreliable and, like, we can't trust you, like, you're saying you're siding with Godzilla and we gotta side with you and trust you, but we can't take that chance. We gotta be the aggressive military and stand against everything. Or they see them as a resource that has to be exploited and say, like, oh, maybe she'll betray his trust. And we can use that in order to get King Kong to do what we want. We gotta use her as a resource. And it's like, yeah, that's the thing that happens. As soon as Godzilla shows up, King Kong's like, fuck, I wanna fight him. And the human characters are immediately like, let him go. Let them fight. You have the good let them fight moment. Where it's like, dude, are you kidding me? But Godzilla, it's a reference to the original King Kong movie where he's in chains. We gotta have the reference. And then Jane Goodall's like, no, let them fight. Again, it's so cool getting to have Godzilla be a heel in this movie and just get to tear the shit out of the fucking military. It's so nice to see this Godzilla getting to just fucking wreck ass the Japanese Defense Force in this movie. Oh, I noted that there's a part where Godzilla is wrecking shit through the ships, and, like, an anchor gets stuck to him, and that causes, like, half of the ship to get dragged along by him, and I was like, is that a Jaws reference? Because Godzilla's got, like, the fin, but then he dives down, and then he's trailing the ship behind him. It's like the air canisters from Jaws, so that we know where Godzilla is by the air canister / ship on the surface, even though he's underwater. And it's like, that's a Jaws reference. I don't know. What a weird thing to throw in. I liked it, but... and yeah, that whole fight sequence I already established is just Neon Genesis Evangelion Episode 10, Asuka jumping from ship to ship, King Kong jumping from ship to ship, picking up a plane and fucking chucking it. And then there's a great part where Godzilla shoots up at the fucking ship from below, and there's a great shot of Kong's face. It's like, fuck, he's gonna do the laser thing. Shit. It sucks being the military in Kaiju land, where it's like, we gotta be a part of this fight. No, you guys are just gonna die. And round 1 of Lizard versus Monkey, Lizard wins. But it was kind of unfair because Kong was handicapped. I mean, like, Kong was fighting on top of the ships. Godzilla is aquatic. King Kong is not aquatic. King Kong had to be helped out by the military. There's so many moments of, like, what's a king to a god? Where, like, Godzilla's like, yeah, that's right, young blood. You fucking kneel. I don't give a shit. King my ass. I'm fucking Godzilla. So many great Godzilla face shots of him just being like, that's what I thought, fucker. I was really hoping Mothra would show up in this movie. This entire story is just, what scenario can we contrive to get giant monsters to fight? That's all this movie is. And you need to, like, that's not a flaw. That's not a flaw. That's not a bad thing. It is what the foundation of the movie is. And if you go into it expecting anything else, you need to expect wrestling levels of, like, WWE levels of wrestling storyline. That's what it is. The plot is driven to get giant monster fight. Also, like, they skipped the logistics of how they got Kong onto that giant net. The CGI for King Kong in this movie is really good. I really liked how they made him look in the snow when they got to the Arctic. It looks really good. This is really good CGI. I love big, stupid kaiju world sci-fi technology. The journey to the center of the earth. Ships that they use. Oh my god, it's full of stars. The scene where they go through the center of the earth and it's just a fucking star child. It's just 2001: A Space Odyssey. That was a good scene. Again, just journey to the center of the earth in all caps. I think when they get to the Hollow Earth, it looks like the Savage Lands from Marvel. But I mean, like, that's such a thing. I mean, like, Journey to the Center of the Earth had that. That's such a thing in fiction, is like the land that has been untouched by the passage of time. So there's still, like, dinosaurs running around. It's just untamed jungle without human influence all over the place. That's a very standard, like, setting idea of the Savage Lands, right? And obviously, there's 3 Journey to the Center of the Earth ships that they bring, so that one of them is filled with red shirts, and they can die to establish the stakes. One of my notes is just, oh no, Wingvor. Because one of the, like, there's a big snake fight between King Kong and the Journey of the Center of the Earth monsters, and they try to Wingvor him, and he's like, no, kink shaming. Yeah, rip off his big fucking stupid head and fucking eat it. So badass. Oh, in one establishing shot, as they're running past, like, a big dumb lizard comes out and eats a thing. I'm like, is that Anguirus? I don't know if that was supposed to be Anguirus, but I was like, oh my god, Anguirus! Kong, quote, cool floating rocks. And then Team Stranger Things discovers Mechagodzilla, and Ken Watanabe's son pilots Mechagodzilla, Mechagodzilla in all caps, and then the characters say Mechagodzilla. They're like, oh, it's a giant robot Godzilla. No, it's Mechagodzilla. I'm like, oh, they know what they're doing. They said the thing when I say the thing. The movie said it right after I said it. And then it's put in all caps, why would you make this? That's just the stupidest fucking thing that someone would say, like, yeah, let's make a giant robot version of Godzilla to fight Godzilla. What are you, fucking stupid? And we have Ken Watanabe's son is enjoying being a robot kaiju pilot just as much as I would be. Getting the fucking robot, Shinji. That was funny. And I do like, that is kind of, I mean, the moral of the movie is obviously going to be, like, humanity needs to accept its place in the balance of nature, and trying to assert yourself as the dominant, like, factor over the world's, like, landscape is bad, don't do that. But Apex isn't necessarily 100% evil. Like, they're not just cackling mad scientist bad guy of the movie. It's a symbolic name where they want to reclaim humanity's dominance, but obviously they're gonna go mad at power once given the power source that they want. But, like, their motivation is, like, we want to put humanity back on top, which isn't necessarily evil. It's just, you know, it's the moral of the story is we shouldn't be doing that. But that's not necessarily an evil, like, cliche mustache twirling villain motivation. And it's, but Godzilla is barely in this movie, so that means it's the same as all the other Godzilla movies. Kong is basically the main character of this movie, while Godzilla is the aloof senpai. And, like, that, it works, because the King Kong movies are about, like, following King Kong and being like MONKEE. And the Godzilla movies are about the human cast giving, discovering the mystery of the giant monsters, while every 20 minutes King Godzilla shows up and does a monster fight. Or, 20 minutes or so. But again, it is weird that it's Godzilla versus King Kong, when King Kong is obviously the main character and Godzilla is just also there. Mothra does not show up in this movie. I like how when they get to the center of the earth, King Kong has a cool hometown temple, just like Godzilla did. Godzilla had a cool hometown temple. King Kong's got a hometown temple. Hopefully this one doesn't get nuked. It did. Monkey tools. And I wrote, human characters basically only exist to make the character development of what the giant monsters who can't talk are doing explicit to the audience. I love King Kong gets his throne. Yeah, he's King Kong. He's sitting on his throne, baby. What a great shot. The visuals of this movie are fucking amazing. The Ghidorah skull, the King Ghidorah skull from the ending of King of the Monsters is the cockpit for Mechagodzilla. Yo. Godzilla shows up in Hong Kong to fuck up China instead of Tokyo for a change, still making Asian people run in terror. Here's where I wrote my note about the utilitarian storytelling. I wish there was more world building, because that was the scene where they show, like, the people evacuating and they were going to a Titan shelter, and that reminded me of Pacific Rim. Yeah, and you can watch these movies without any human dialogue whatsoever, and it still follows as a narrative that you can get behind. Getting the robot Shinji. Getting the giant robot Shinji. Oh, and then Godzilla drilled down to the center of the fucking earth and tell that young fuck Kong, turn it down for what? Fuck. Godzilla shows up in Hong Kong and drills through the center of the earth to get to China and is like, shut the fuck up, King Kong, you fucking idiot! Evil Angelina Jolie dies like a dumb bitch. It is straining my suspension of disbelief that Team Stranger Things is not getting caught by Apex Security. As soon as I say that, they get caught by security, proving my point. And King Kong jumps down and comes out into Hong Kong. Is like, round 2, fucker! Oh, during the entire fight between Kong and Godzilla in Hong Kong, there's shots of like from the ground level, or in buildings and stuff, and there's people in there. I'm like, how the fuck are there still people in buildings? Godzilla showed up 10 minutes ago. They sounded the evacuation and said go to the shelters. What are you still doing out on the streets and in the buildings? Every fucking establishing shot of like from the ground level or in buildings, it shows CGI people running around. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Why don't you go to the fucking shelter, you dumb idiots? I really love the fight choreography. Between King Kong and Godzilla. How the first fight was Neon Genesis Evangelion and Godzilla taking advantage of the fact that he's aquatic. Kong is so fast and agile. He's running around. He's jumping around so fucking fast. I love how their fighting styles are so different. Kong fights with a lot of acrobatics and jumping around from tree to tree and using strikes with his like hands, and he uses makeshift weapons and tools. Whereas Godzilla fights more like an animal with bites and grapples and clawing, and he has a ranged attack with the beam attack built in. And there's this great like interplay between like the strategies they use, where like Godzilla realizes, oh shit, he's kind of beating the shit out of me because of how fast in it he is, and he's got that fucking weapon. So I'm just gonna hang back and shoot him with my laser from far away, and Kong's gotta close the gap and play footsies with him. This whole fight needs like a wrestler commentary. And then round 2 goes to Kong. I literally said that, and then a character in the movie said that. Oh, round 2 goes to King Kong. Fuck you, I was gonna say that. And then Godzilla like, fuck you, I'm the god here. What's a king to a god, fucker? Sit down. He's like, they have that great scene where he's just like, all I want you to do is fucking submit. I'm in charge, you fucking bow to me. And Kong's like, fuck you, old man. And Godzilla's like, yeah, okay. Respect, young blood. Oh, I'll put your ass down, but respect. Don't want to kill MONKEE, just wants that kid to know his place. And obviously Mechagodzilla gets possessed by the power crystal and shows up and is the final boss of the story, where King Kong and Godzilla both gotta team up. Obviously, the moral of the story, once again, is humanity not accepting their place in nature and trying to assert their dominance over it leads to the world being out of balance, and our species inevitably steers itself towards self-destruction. Defibrillate the giant monkey, Godzilla getting wrecked by Mechagodzilla, but Godzilla's tired, because he just got in a fight with Kong, so it's not really fair. Maybe Godzilla would have been able to take out Mechagodzilla by himself, but he was tired. Oh, and then there's the beam. Fucking Mechagodzilla and Godzilla have a beam struggle. It's so fucking cool. And then King Kong and Godzilla team up and they fight together. Team Stranger Things no longer serves a purpose in this movie. Kaiju wrestling match is fucking awesome. And then, like, Kong's fighting him with his weapon, and then Godzilla, like, and he uses breath weapon to power up MONKEE's weapon so that they're teaming up and fighting Mechagodzilla together. And MONKEE hate technology. MONKEE kill the robot. And he just fucking wrecks him with this fucking axe. It's so cool. And right after he beats him, he's like, oh, fuck. Oh, that's so good. The visual storytelling, like the body language for the giant monsters in this movie is so fucking good. He's just like, fuck this, goddamn. He's just sitting down like, woo, woo, woo. That was a tough one. Yeah, this was a Kong movie. Godzilla played a support role in Kong's movie. And at the end, they're like getting up, and it's like, okay, we beat up the robot. Do we still want to fight? Do we still want to go? And Godzilla's like, we'll call it a draw. We'll call it a draw. I'll see you in the sequel, kid. Bye. And it's leaves, and MONKEE's like, we'll call it a draw, kid, later. And I thought it was weird that the humans' stories didn't converge at any point. Then again, it also works because Team Stranger Things was in the Godzilla movie, and Team Journey to the Center of the Earth was in a Kong movie. Where the Kong movie was based around following Kong around and being a monkey, and Godzilla movie was based around doing science espionage and monster talking, while Godzilla barely ever shows the fuck up. So it works as a combination of what I assume Kong Skull Island was and what the Godzilla movies have been so far. And it did its job. It delivered on what it promised. It delivered on Kong versus Godzilla. So, can't really complain. I would still say I liked King of the Monsters better, but this delivered on what it was selling. It delivered on Monkey versus Lizard. Results inconclusive.